Adding your own branding to your product display cards not only elevates your display at a market, but also the experience for your client. While it may seem very difficult to make, it's actually pretty easy to do. I'm going to share crucial bits of information regarding the print then cut method, materials, and approach to the project so that you can have the most amazing product display backing cards for your displays and take your brand to the next level. My name is Kelly Rossouw, and let's get clacking. So the materials that you're going to need for this project are going to be the cardstock that you will print on. You're going to need a printer as well, a Cricut with print then cut capabilities, a standard grip mat, your fine point blade, your keyring product, a self-sealable bag with a tag or without one, and a product backing card template. Now I am going to leave links for everything that I'm going to be using down in the description, as well as the link to a blog post that you can follow along with. And I'm also going to share a few product backing card templates that you can use down in the description. Now let's explore the card that you're going to need to use for your product backing card. This is probably one of the two most important parts of this tutorial, is choosing the right card. There are many different kinds of finishes that you can use for your backing card. I'm going to be using a linen finish, but you also get a standard matte finish, a watercolor type finish, ribbed, glossy. There are many different kinds, so you can choose which one pairs the best with your brand. Keeping in mind that if you're going to be using a craft board that is not white, like maybe a craft or one that has a color to it, I would recommend doing some test prints ahead of time to make sure that your branding colors come out looking right, as the color of your cardstock will affect the color of your print as well. Now I would recommend using a 250 to a 300 GSM cardstock or craft board for your backing cards. The higher weight cardstock or craft board provides a sturdy background, which helps your product feel a lot more premium. The lower you go in weight or in GSM of your craft board or cardstock, the more flimsy your product is going to be. So while you're holding the cardstock in your hand, think about the user experience. If they had to pick this up off a shelf and it flopped over because of the weight, that might not give them the best experience. So it is worth looking into getting a slightly heavier craft board than a slightly lighter one. While you're keeping your cardstock in mind, you're also going to need to think of the printer that you have or the printer that you want to buy for this project, if you don't yet have one. Not all printers can take the 250 to 300 GSM craft board or cardstock, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. I'm using an Epson L3 150, and I will leave a link for a similar one down below, but it doesn't like the 300 GSM craft boards. So if I do use a product like that, I have to apply a little bit of weight to the back of the craft board while the printer pulls it in order for it to grip onto the cardstock. It's not the best solution, but it does work for this type of printer. But if you're making lots of backing cards, it's worth looking into getting a printer that can handle that kind of cardstock easily. But let's take a look at the process of making our actual cards. Once you have uploaded the blank template into Cricut Design Space, you can add all of your branding onto it. And if you want to make these extra cool, you can even do a fake double-sided print then cut. But more on that a little bit later. I created this design by just adding my branding to the bottom corner and a few elements on each of the corners that matched the back of the backing card. As I'm going to be using the method on how to fake a double-sided print then cut, I wanted to make the back and the front look very similar. I'm going to change the color of my canvas so that you can see what the template looks like. So I'm going to click on the little white block next to blank canvas, and then the square up at the top where it says color. So now you see exactly what your product backing card could look like with your branding elements added on top of it. And if you want me to show you exactly how I created this look, let me know down below. If you are enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me to know what videos you enjoy and what to make more of for you in the future. Now next I want to get the sizing of my template correct. So I'm going to click on my template. I'm going to change the width to the size that I need it to be. Now the width is going to be about 6.8 centimeters or 2.67 inches. So I'm going to just select the width at the top here and type in 6.8 as I'm using centimeters. I'm then going to bring in a print and cut template so that I can size it to make sure that I'm using the most of my page. Now I want to see how many of these I can fit onto my page. So when you downloaded the product backing template, you will also have received a A4 and a letter print and cut template. So you can upload those to Design Space as well and add them to your canvas so that you can easily see what space you can use. I'm going to right click and send it to the back and move it into the top left corner. Now I'm going to see how many of these I can fit on the page. So right click, duplicate, and let's duplicate both of them again, and right click and duplicate again. So now I just play a little bit of Cricut Tetris to see how many I can fit onto my page. Once I have my space optimized as well as I can, I'm going to hover over my print and cut layer, and I'm going to hide it by clicking the little eye. I'm then going to select everything on my canvas, right click and attach, because we don't want these moving around when we go to the Make It screen. I'm then going to save my project, and I'm going to click Make. You can, of course, fill up your page as much as you can. Sometimes I like to add little elements, especially if I see there is so much white space around my page. But we won't be able to fit another backing card into this one, unfortunately. So now I'm going to click Continue, Send to Printer. I'm going to leave the bleed on, as I don't have a white border all the way around. My elements end on the edge of the product card, so I definitely want to leave bleed on just in case the cut is a little bit off. If you don't want that little white line at the edge, it's important that you leave bleed on. I'm also going to use the system dialog so that I can adjust the settings of the printer if I need to, and I'm going to click Print. Once the dialog pops up, and it might be behind Cricut Design Space if you're using a Mac, I'm going to click Preferences. I'm going to change the paper type to match what I'm printing on, change the quality to what I need it to be, and even disable the high speed if I need to. I'm then going to click OK, load the paper into my printer, and click Print. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are using a higher GSM craft board, then you may need to apply a little bit of pressure just while the printer is grabbing onto the page to make sure that it grabs onto it properly and pulls in. I have to do this every time I'm using the 300 GSM craft board, so you might need to as well. As you can see, the page is printed off really well. We've got the product cards on the one side and then the repeatable pattern on the back. So I'm going to put it registration mark side up onto my cutting mat, stick it down with some painter's tape, use my brayer to make sure that it sticks down well onto my mat, and then I'm going to load it into my Cricut. The Cricut will then read the registration marks and initiate the cut as soon as it's finished registering. Once it's finished cutting, I always recommend to check to see that your cut has cut correctly, and in this case, it has. So we're going to unload it from the machine. And here you can see why it's important that we leave bleed on, because if we had left bleed off, we might not have gotten a print as close to the edges as this one. And once you've removed your product backing cards, you can then add on your products, put them into those self-sealable bags, and your products are ready to be displayed. But if you want to see some more print and cut tutorials using the fake double-sided print and cut method, check out this playlist over here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.